Hello, everybody, and welcome to Easter's recipe for pie. Um, the first thing I can say is if you want a really, really good crust, you should use vodka instead of water when you're baking a pie crust. And that's, that's more or less the best pie crust trick, the only one I actually have. But also, let's take a look at pie. So, the first thing when it comes to pie is getting your clones trained, because doing pie by one on one character, you will quickly find out that that's just not enough. So if you have the possibility, you should train it on as many characters as you can to, of course, maximize profits. And once you get into the higher tiers of PI, you're going to need so much material um, yeah, that you're going to need a lot of characters. Um, I don't have a skill plan on this one. Brilliant. So the first thing is you want to go into planet management. You want to train command center upgrades to at least 4, interplanetary consolidation to at least 4. Planetology and remote sensing is not as important. And I will get back to command centers and interplanetary consolidation in a bit. But this is what I would say is the minimum requirements for starting PI. The next thing is you want to be able to fly an epithel, which is the Galente PI ship. And my epithel is, I'll just share the fit with you, and you can always ask afterwards, is I got mine from Karkan. Looks like this. So for nullsec, you want to have a nullifier on it, and it's always a good idea to be able to cloak. An epithel is not 100% necessary for doing PI. You can do this in any hauling ship, but believe me, once you get into it, you're going to wish you had a PI ship, because it can haul a lot of stuff, and it also has a hull for command centers, which is just nice when you have to go out and set up your stuff. You don't have to warp back and forth. So, any questions so far? No? I mean, feel free to interrupt me and feel free to ask questions, or else I'm just going to be doing a monologue, and this will be a better experience for all if you ask your questions. Okay, so once you have your clone trained or your main trained with the aforementioned skills, you are ready to set up your PI. So, what PI should you do?
Hi Esther, sorry I'm late, mate.
You are always welcome, mate. And a wizard is never late, right?
It was only a quick question. It was my only question the entire time. Because I arrived late, I just heard you say aforementioned skills. What was the sort of expected skills?
Oh, it was just the minimum requirements, that getting your command center to 4 and the interplanetary consolidation to 4. And I didn't mention this before, but the interplanetary consolidation to 4 will mean that you can have, or means you can have, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 planets.
Perfect, thank you.
And the command center upgrade lets you have more CPU and power to actually run the stuff you want on the planet. And getting these 2 to 4 and these 2 to 3 is about a 3-week train without anything else. So if you have an alt and it's on the same character as your main, you have the money or the the plex for it, get a multi-character training, and one multi-character training will let you get to this level, and it will also let you get into a basic epithel with at least a Tech 1 cloak on it, which is minimum. I would also go for a nullifier on it if you have the opportunity, but at least a cloak. The next thing after you have trained your characters is then finding out what should you produce. So if you're going into indie, you already know what you are producing, because you're going to produce something that's going to tie into whatever ship making you are doing, or modules you're doing, or implants you want to be producing, because PI ties into not all production, but a hell of a lot of all the other production stuff that goes on. Then it's obvious what you want to produce. But if you want to start out by producing the PI and then finding out afterwards, or if you just want to do PI for the money. And if you just want to do PI for the money, I will suggest you use this cute little website called Adam for Eve, and I will just link this in our chat here. For you watching at home, I don't know if you can read it up here, but else it's called Adam for Eve pirank.php. You should get to this page. To find out what is worth the most, what can you sell for ECS? First of all, you have to take a look at the aforementioned how many characters do you have. What is actually feasible? Of course, you can produce P3 on one character. It's just going to be slow, and it's going to be tedious, and your ISK per hour will go down. So if you don't have at least 3 characters, I would say only go for something like the P2. And when I say P, it's because PI is has 5 different tiers. It has P0, P1, 2, 3, and 4. P0 is the stuff that you extract from a planet and don't do anything with it. P1 is when you have had it through the first factory process, which normally happens on the same planet as you extract it from. P2 is the later thing, and then it turns into P3, and then it turns into P4, and obviously you need a lot of P1s to get all the way up to P4. But let's just take a rather simple example, and let's say we want to make fuel blocks. This is a very common thing. And to make fuel blocks, you need robotics. So let's take a look at robotics. In here, you will get all the different tiers. You'll get the P0, as you can see, 1, 2, and 3. So to make one P1, you only need 1 P0. To make 1 P2, you need 2 P1s. And in this case, because this is Eve, so not everything is linear, To make robotics, you need 2 different P2s. Other P2s or P3s will require up to 3 P2s. As you can see, every time you add a P2, you add 2 extra planets. Right. So to produce this cryoprotectant solution, you will need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 planets that are producing P1s or P0s into P1s. And it's not as efficient, but on the same planet you can make some P2s. I would suggest you make these on another planet, but then you would need 1, 2, 3 planets to make P2s. Or you can combine it. Depends on how much you get out of all these planets. 1 P2 planet can easily produce 2 P2s. So I have said a lot of P. Have I confused anybody beyond the point of no return? Or are you all good? Okay. So let's find out what should we produce if we just want to make ISK. And I already gave it away, sort of. So we want to go in and see, we only want to see the P3s. I'm talking if we have a bunch of characters now. We can, of course, also just go and check the P2s. What we want to do is we only extract. If we go factory, it means that we will also be able to buy some of the resources we don't have. But we are in the PI world now, so we do all our PI ourselves. And to go here, you need max level of 3. You can also go 4, but this is how many steps it will take to get there. We work on the current value, and then we go show me. Oh, it looks like the page I was already on. And here we will now sort by profit per hour. And you can see that the best thing to produce right now is cryoprotectant solutions. And to make cryoprotectant solutions, we need the planets I mentioned before. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 planets, and that's to make the P2s and the P3s. I can just say, if you want to have enough of the test cultures and the synthetic oils and the fertilizers to keep a P3 planet going, you will need a hell of a lot more than the just one planet of each. As you can see, I mentioned before, to get the P2s, we need 2 P1s. But that's not just one-to-one. As you can see here, test cultures are produced every 2 hours. And the same here. Bacteria is produced every 2 hours. But when we come up here, it's every 1 hour. And it only produces 3, but it takes in a hell of a lot more. So a rule of thumb, once you get up here, you don't so much, the rule of thumb doesn't so much work on the P0s and the P1s, because they are very much based on how much will you get out of a planet per cycle, and that is not linear. That depends on how much percentage. I will get back into this and show you this in a bit. But how much is each planet has a value of how much of the raw resources of the microorganism and the liquids and stuff it has, and that is that influences how much can you pull out of the ground each cycle. And So this is very much not linear. So that's why I'm not going too much into that right now. But if you want to produce the P3s, it's 1 to 4. So now that we have 3 of these, we will need 8 planet of these, 8 planets of, or sorry, not planets, 8 factories with this, 8 factories with this, and 8 factories with this, just to have 4 factories running here. It's 1 to 2. So you can see if you want a planet running just P2s to P3s, you're going to need a hell of a lot of factories. And to keep these P2 factories running all the times, you're going to need a hell of a lot of P1. Have I confused you yet? Because if I haven't, I have failed.
Hey, which tab was it where you were getting the pricing? I wasn't able to catch that.
What tab were we getting the pricing?
Yeah.
It was here on the first on the first page. This is based on Cheetah sell orders, and here you can see the profit per hour. This is not so much the pricing itself; it's an hourly base profit.
To get to that, you see at the top there's the menu and it says PI. That PI, when you hover over that PI, it will drop down and say profitability or chart.
Okay.
And then you set it up, and we want to do P3. We can also do this on P2s. And get the current sell orders. Obviously, per hour, it'll be a hell of a lot less, but you you will get more out of it. The other was based on a 4 hour, and this is based on a 2.5 hours because we don't have to make P3s, and to make that calculation work all the way down, you work in 4 hours. Okay, this was a lot of numbers and graphs. So I'm just gonna minimize that for a bit, and then we're gonna take a look at the planet itself. So now we decided what we want to do. We have okay, I lied. I lied. Let's get back to the P3, and I'm just gonna. So yeah, we have the robotics. So to produce all this, we start from the bottom and work our way up. We need base metals, we need noble metals, we need heavy metals, and we need non-CS crystals. Because we've decided to make robotics. This is just arbitrary, and it's just something I have decided for you. So, where do we find these metals? Now, for this class, we are only gonna be working with what's in our SOF, and within our SOF, I have made this nice little thing for us, and I'm just gonna be linking that for you as well, and for you people watching the video. I am gonna link it to them, Aura. This is for you people watching the video. It is also pinned if you go into our industry tab in APOC. And if you don't have access to it because you are in Atom, that's okay, because you're not going to be doing PI in our space for a little while anyways. And once you do, we'll be happy to share this with you. Anyways, here I have taken all our planets and taken all the information out of them and put them into this little spreadsheet. So, oh, that wasn't it. This was it. We want to do base metals. Okay, so we go and say base metals. We want to sort this. This is in Danish. You want to sort it from A to Z because you don't have all these letters. Sorry, you want to have it from Z to A, of course, because we want the highest number first. And then we can see, in CDB, ZDB, we have a planet with 75% base metals. The higher this number is, the more you will get out of your every cycle without depleting the area too much and having to move around. We'll get back to this. So we make our own spreadsheet and go in and we say, okay, to make robotics, we then want the base metals. You don't have to do a spreadsheet. If you can have this in your head, perfectly fine. But we want to have base metals, we want to have noble metals, we want to have heavy metals, and we want to have non-CS crystals to make robotics. This is based on our old space, so these planets, of course, are not right yet. But you would then go to here and say, okay, ZDB on a barren planet, I will get my base metals. And you would put that in. Okay, now we have the base metals. Then you go and say the noble metals. Do the same for noble metals. Okay, let's get B to A, and we find out that's in B tag 1. But, there's one in CDB, but that's a big difference, 52% to 83%. So that's actually only one really viable planet for this, if you want to be at least efficient. Because this is 83 and this is 52, I mean, it's, what is it, 25% more, which means if you go down and do it in CDB, you will probably need 2 planets to get up to the level you want to be at to supply your P2 factories. But anyways, you continue, you do this, and then you have found out that, yeah, these are the planets I need. You put them in here. If you are like me, you will put all your characters in and go, okay, this character will do this and this character will do that, because then you can like keep the characters that are doing stuff, like the guy want to do planet or systems that are close together, so you don't have to walk around. Because if you want to maintain this on an everyday basis, every click and every warp counts, and you want to minimize that. The more characters you get, the more important, this, of course, is going to be. So now you made your beautiful spreadsheet and you know what you have to do for robotics. Now we get to play the game. So all is trained. Plan for what we're going to produce is made, hopefully written down in a spreadsheet, and all the stuff we needs to be bought down. So first of all, we will get ourselves an epithel. I don't have an epithel on this character. But if I had, I would get into it, and then I would go to the system where I want to build my stuff. But before I went into the system, I want to make sure I have my command center. So all of these planets we had a look at before. As a command center. A command center is the thing you place down on a planet to be able to actually do PI there. And then let's take a look at a planet. See if we can find the command center. So my command center is down here. So you go into a planet. Do you know how you go into a planet?
No.
Okay, let's take that first. I might have skipped a few steps. So if you go into the agency, also this is where I found a lot of the numbers that you saw in the spreadsheet before, right? We go into your agency, resource harvesting, go into Planetary Industry, and then it'll show you the planets around you. I am going to say I want a specific region. I want Scalding Pass. I want the constellation called EIT-JTAG X, because that's where we hold SOV. Then I want all those planets listed. And then I can say, okay, according to my spreadsheet, the first thing we needed was base metals, and we found out over here that the base metals on the planet we needed was a barren planet. Good. Now I know this. So I can go in here and I can say, okay, I only want to see all the barren planets in the constellation I am working in. And then it lists me all the systems that has barren planets. And then you can go through them, this, and then you can see base metals here, 71%. Base metals here, 69%. Base metals here, 51%. And that's all the barren planets in QNASH, and so on, so on. And this is how you find. This is how I found out all these numbers. Besides that, I have also put in the tax rate. That you won't find in there, and the tax rate is quite important as well. So see here, we have a planet here with 10% tax. You don't want to work that. I have marked it as green, which means that we will shoot it and make it 1.5% tax, but we haven't gotten there yet. But you can see the tax rates and who owns the system in here as well. And it's just easier that you can sort across from systems, see all the planets in a sheet like this. But this is how you then find the planets in the PI, and then if you want to go to a specific planet, you click the View Planetary Industry here. And I click this, and then I just have a planet, and I cannot see anything on this planet. I can't do anything here, and that's because I don't have a command center. But I can scan it. I mean, it's already scanned. So I can go in here, and then I can see how much base metal do we have here. White is the best, and then you get this is CCP and this is E, right? So of course red is good, green is bad, and white for some reason is the best. There's no reason to go with colors and the way people already think of these things. But anyway, you want to have it white, and the basic, depending on your scan levels and the stuff we mentioned for in the skill things, this will be more or less of accurate. So this is for base metals, and this is for the other type of materials we can get out, and this is the P1s, right? So we want to get those out, and we want to take the base metals and we want to turn them into reactive metal. So you can change your scan resolution once you're in here, because sometimes planets have less or they have more. If this was 100% planet with the scan resolution I would have right now, everything would be white. So you can change the range. So all the green and yellow you see here, that's not important to us. We don't really want to work with that. And then you can also change the threshold. So once we are down to here, we can see these are really the hotspots. If we go below this, we won't be able to see anything, but these are the real good hotspots. So we might want to set up here or here, because these are going to merge together very quickly, and then we will have a larger area, and we will have a decent production. So that was how you you picked out a planet if you don't have a spreadsheet. I am just going to look at older planets, and this is how my stuff was set up in when we were in the north. I haven't deleted them yet. I will this weekend, and I will start setting up my PI. So once we get into a planet, the first thing we want to do is we want to place our command center. Unless you are very, very low skill, your command center and the placement of it does not matter. And the reason I say that is because the command center actually has functions beyond what I'm going to show you in a bit. So it can launch stuff into space, and it actually have a storage area as well. As a general rule of thumb, I don't use this because, as you can see, in this case, I am up here. In the beginning, I was probably down here, and then I moved my stuff around, because once you start extracting stuff, and here I'm extracting microorganisms in a planet with 98%. That's a really good planet, and here you can see what I talked about earlier. If the threshold is just set to standard, everything is white, right? So everything looks good. And then if you move it a bit, find that some areas are better than others, and that's why I have placed my stuff up here. So the first thing after placing our command center, of course, the command center has to match the planet you are working on. We looked at the sea. We have barren, gas, ice, lava, oceanic, and plasma. To work on the planet I was working on right here, I would need the plasma command, one plasma command. So I will have this in my hold of my epithel. I will go to the system where I have to place it, and then I need to be in space, but I can be tethered on a structure, or I can be cloaked somewhere off on a safe. I just have to be in space in that system. Then I will open the planet through this, and then I will see this naked planet. I will then randomly place down my command center over here on the build menu. You will be able to see command centers. Once you don't have one, you can only build one per planet. So I place down my command center, and then I click OK. Then I click my command center again, and then I upgrade my command center. And this was the skill I talked about. We had to get to level 4. And that means I can upgrade my command center up to level 4. The higher the level of the command center, the higher the power output and the CPU output will be. And you might recognize this from our ships. This more or less works the same way. And then I will upgrade it, and I will click over here. I will have the button called submit. That's just every time I build some. Or you can see a submit button will turn up here, and I will be able to see my power load and my CPU load. So let's pretend. Anyway, so you will get a proper view of what it's gonna look like. I could delete all of this just by deleting my command center, but now that I have to show you, I'm just gonna do it by this. So after I placed my command center, let's just pretend you can't see this. Then I will place down my extractor control unit. And before I do that, I push it over to scan, and I know I have to pick up the microorganisms. I set up my threshold and my scanning and say, oh, yeah, this looks like a good place to place an extractor unit to get microorganisms. So I click here and I place it. And then this is what I do. This is not what everybody necessarily does. When you place it, it will just look like this. And then I go over here and I say what I want to pull out of the planet here is microorganisms. So I click that here. Then I go and say, how often do I want to reset my planetary PI? And in my case, I always go for 1 day. It'll start out by looking like this. And as you can see, I'm just going to install some of these are called the extractor arms. When I install an extractor arm, I'm down to 1 hour. It has a certain size, and then when I go to 1 day, and you can also use the scroll wheel. This, why not? You can't see it because you haven't submitted. Anyways, then you want to go in and you want to install extractor arms, and you can see every time you do this, you increase your power load. Oop, goes up a bit. But I want to have all the extractors and I want to have them all running. Now I can see what each arm is producing every single cycle. Each cycle is 15 minutes, I would like to say. And here you can see like a histogram of what all of them combined is going to pull in over the next 24 hours. If I move any of these, you will notice that the numbers change, but also I know I'm going to be here for a while, so I'm just going to start taking everything that's out here, because that way I'm pulling outside of my circle. You see this this gray is where I can work within. So I would go something like this. If you overlap and start interfering, you will see a little percentage reduction. So you want to make sure that each extractor has enough room to work with. Once I've done that, I'm going to push start extraction. And now submit. In a few seconds, you will see a small white circle starting. And once that circle is done in 15 minutes, I will have extracted 17,913 units. So better get moving, because else these will just have nowhere to go. So now we're extracting stuff. What I always do, you don't have to do it like I do, but this is a good basic setup. I will take and build, and you can't read this, so I'm just going to move it out here, a storage facility. The next thing is we want to be able to store all the shit we are getting in. So right next to that, you will notice that I am building this as close to this other structure as possible. And that's because after I have built this and submitted, this thing still is not routed, which means all the materials that goes into here, they stay in here. I want them to go into my storage facilities. I can go here and then I can click, I would like a link, but that's not efficient. So what I do is I hold down Control, I click on my my starter my starter point, and then I have a white line, and I say, okay, I want a link up to here, and then I click OK. And now I'm gonna zoom all the way in. Now you can see these two things are now linked, or they will be as soon as I push submit. This link also took out some of my my power resources. So that's why we want to have as short as link as possible, so we don't waste our resources by transporting stuff. Now the next thing I want to do is go in here and say, what products do we have here? We have these microorganisms. They are not routed. So I want to create a route. And I want to create a route to my storage facility. I double click, and then I click submit. So now you can see that the products we have here, they are routed. You can also see where they are routed to, or at least that they are outgoing, because some of the things will be incoming. So if you go here and look at the routes here, you will see they have an incoming microorganism. Okay, now at least we can store this, and we have 12,000 or cubic meters of storage, and that's enough for this to run for quite a few days before this storage facility will be built up. About 5 months ago, something like that, they did their first change to PI in I don't know how many years, and one of those changes was that PI is now only taking up half the cubic meters that it used to, which means that a lot of these facilities are now, they're huge. They're huge. Let's just put it like that. So you can actually have things running for quite a long while before they get filled. Okay, so next thing, and of course, once you have done this a lot of times, you can do this in 3-4 minutes on a planet. Now it's just because I'm talking, taking way longer. What do we want to do with this material? Now I'm just going to look here. It's not base metals, it was microorganisms. We want to turn the microorganisms into bacteria. Okay. So we need to build basic industry facility. And now it's all up to you how you want to do it. If you want to make small Christmas trees, or if you want to make butterflies or whatever, just make sure that you don't put things too far away. And when I say that, it's because if I go like this, three, 4, 5, 7. I mean, that looks like a production line. Nice and efficient, right? Let's just try this out. Submit. Then I want to link, control, I want to link from here to here, from here to here, from here to here. Boom, 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 boom. Let's submit that. And now we want to, now we built all the factories, and now we want to tell them what to produce. But I'll just give an example. I wanted to produce bacteria. I click bacteria, I click install, and I click submit. So it's still, now you see everything is blinking in these weird colors, and that's because I set up a production plan, but it doesn't have any resources income. So we have to route our resources. And we know we have microorganisms in common. Okay, so I go into microorganisms and I create a route. And I want to create a route to here. But this route cannot be created as it exceeds the maximum number of logistics waypoints. So our production line does not work. We thought we were efficient, but because we made it so long, for some reason, it doesn't work. So you can only do a maximum of 6 jumps when you want to route something. So here and say we want a schematic, and then because we already made one bacteria, it assumes we want to make bacteria again, so you don't have to search in the list. So yeah, we want to make bacteria on this one. Submit. And then go and say we want to make that. And this worked. Submit. So see, now we have an input of microorganisms. It's waiting for resources because of course it doesn't have the resources. So as soon as this circle is done, microorganisms will be deposited into our storage, and then some of those microorganisms will be routed off to our production facility up here, and then it'll start producing bacteria. Do you guys have any questions? I'm going to be answering questions while I just this because I'm messing with my OCD, which I don't technically have, but I still like things to be neat. Any questions? No? Then I will just continue building. So now we know how to produce, take P0s and produce them into P1s. One way you could do it is like this. Oh, sweet. Now we have 5. Let's say 5 is enough. We submit and we go. Because we already routed stuff to here, now we can route stuff to here. We can route stuff here. We can route stuff to here. And we can route stuff to here. Submit. Now everything is connected. We want to be bacteria. Oh. Let me just take the next step because that's going to make it easier. So once all these planets are producing bacteria, we want to make sure these bacteria go somewhere. Else we're just going to be full up on bacteria in our production facility, and then they won't be able to produce anymore. So we want to route them somewhere. What we could do is route them back again to our storage facility. But the storage facility does not have the possibility to send it into space for us. If we had the command center close, we could push it into the command center. And as you can see here, the command center can launch it. The reason why I don't do this is because when you launch things from a command center, it doesn't go to the customs office. It puts it into space, which means after you launch it, then you have to fly and find the box. Right? You will be able to see it on the grid, but that means you have to move around. Very inefficient. So what we want to build now is a launch pad. And that looks nice on the top here. And since it's Christmas, my God, I built a little Christmas tree making me money. And then we want to route to that as well. Submit. So route microorganisms into the production facility at midnight. Production facility is happy. Then that needs to route the products it's producing, the bacteria, and we want to send them directly to our launch pad. And then we want to push submit. Now we can see this one is yellow, it's not red anymore. This one is happy, this one is running. For the next 24 hours, this will be producing 7.6 M3 an hour, and that's 20 units of bacteria. And then we just scale that up and do that same thing on every single. And that's the reason why I wanted what you just saw is the reason why I want the launchpad, because once we've installed, it'll always say, and where do we want to put this once I'm done, and I want to put it here. So once you've done it one time, it's very fast. Do it on the rest and submit. Then we come in here. Often you will see outgoing stuff on the top. Once you get to bigger planets, always click on the type and make sure you have the incoming, because you always only have one incoming and a lot of outgoing. You will see this in a bit, and it's the incoming, of course, you want to create the route on. This. This. Because then it's always on the top, right?
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
To jump back real quick about the launching stuff from the command center,
Mm-hmm.
it just launches like a cargo container into space, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you use that like in HiSec or somewhere where you have high taxes, does that avoid the taxes of the customs office that way?
That's a good question. I don't know, because
Okay.
I
I
have
mean,
always
you would have to be right there and be ready to fly over before someone else took your container. But
well,
I
if
was
it's in
just
HiSec,
curious.
taking your container would make them criminal. For one thing.
Yeah.
It's like stealing
No,
any other thing. And if you're
yeah.
doing it in HiSec, I strongly suggest you never do PI in HiSec. It's a waste of time. But
Yeah, I'm doing it in nullsec, but for our HiSec
yeah.
people here. So
That's why I'm just addressing it quickly. If you are doing it in HiSec, if you go in under trade, you will see custom codes expertise that you want to train, because that will, as you can see here, import and export Empire tax and customs office by 10% per level.
The other thing as well is that from the customs office, from the launched command center, you can only do it once every 5 weeks.
Every 5 weeks?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Never mind. Use the customs office.
Well, there's that. That's why I have never messed with that mechanic, because it's just inefficient. I had no idea it was that inefficient. Anyways, so now we've moved all this stuff and we have a production planet set up. I have only put 5 planets on here, or factories on here, because a lot of the time you will see your production going down. So in this case, my storage actually works as a buffer, because my storage will not be empty tomorrow when I come back. It will slowly fill up. But then at some point, my yield from around me will be so low that I will have to move. In this, like this, I will have to move less often. Or I could go even crazier and say, but I should still have the power for it. I can put up another one. and give it an extraction program. And let's say I wanted something else. What do we have here? We have blank check. That's not the best thing to pull up here. Complex? No. Carbon. See? Then I could start pulling out carbon if that was what I wanted to do. Oh, I can only pull up one carbon. So I could take some of the arms off the other. So this is where you could min-max if you want to do some stuff, or I could just go and say, well, I want more microorganisms, and then start pulling up more microorganisms. So this is where you can tweak things a bit. And if you go on YouTube and search for Jake, something with E. No. Let me just EI. Jake Lead. He has done some very, very, very good stuff. Some of it is a year and a bit older, and that's not a problem for PI. It still works very much the same way. I will very much encourage you to go in and have a look at that. And I am so sure that if you go and have a look at his playlists, he should have an EVE Online playlist. And down here, you have extractor efficiency, where all this is explained in details, and how to work with min-maxing and having less factories and more extractors instead. But yeah, have a look at that. I don't know. We want a link for Jake. Yes. So now we are producing our first. We are extracting our first P0s, turning them into our first P1s. Now we just multiply this by 4, as we saw before, perhaps a bit more, and then let that run. Then we want to turn this into the next level, which is our P2, and I'm just going to character for this. Meet Dante.
Connecting.
He is my main PI alt and has everything trained to 5. You don't need everything trained to 5 to go to this level, but once you get up into the P2s and the P3s, it's just so nice that you can maximize, because the others you just have a lot of. These ones you want to be able to do a lot on the same planet. So let's take a look at a P2 planet. So this is how I set up a P2 planet on a max level. As you can see, my upgrade level on my on my command center is up to max, and my command center now is right next to it. It's not linked, but this is because this stuff you will never have to move if you've done it right the first time. So instead of building an extractor, I now have a lot of launch pads and some storage facilities. The reason I have storage facilities is because now I can't really, I can't say so much, I want so many factories and extract instead and stuff like that. I just want to be able to fill as much of my PI into these storage facilities, and then just have these P2 factories producing all the time. Obviously, I'm far from home and not in the north anymore, so there's no reason for these plants to be running because I won't be able to empty them. So, what would happen if is every 3-4 days I would do this. I would come to this planet. I would, because I have, as you can see here, this is producing synthetic oil on the left and producing synthetic oil on the right.
Can you zoom in on your linking there again, please?
Everything is just linked once, right? So from here, the storage facilities, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can't, as we learned before, I can't go above 6. So this is the furthest I can be away. I can have a whole line here, but I don't have the power for it, as you can see. So this is the maximum of planets I can have on this planet. And I have chosen a barren planet because barren planets, temperate planets, are usually smaller. And why does that matter, you ask? Let's go back and have a look at a barren planet. Show info. Planetary Industry attributes. Okay, now it's coming down to the nitty gritty, but this is a class, so I'm going to explain everything, right? This planet has a radius of 2,810 kilometers. That's not a lot for a planet. Let's go and take a look at an ice planet, for example. Here, where do we have an ice planet? We have an ice planet here. Let's take a look at this. Show info. You see, this planet has a radius of 14,360. And this matters when we go into our, into this planet, because as you can see, there's a small gap here, right? And as I said before, the larger that gap is, the more power we're going to use to make this link. At the same time, the bigger this planet is, the bigger this gap is going to be. Even though I can't place this any closer to this, it's still going to use more power because instead of the planet being 1,500 kilometers, it's 15,000 kilometers. So it'll take 10 times the amount of power to build this thing. That's why your factory planets should always be on the smaller planets. And when you go and look at the system, it's a bit odd, but once we have put all the planets in, for some reason, the top ones are the smaller planets, and the bottom ones are the bigger planets. Why? I don't know. It's the way with the numbers. So you just want to pick a small planet for this, and temperate planets and barren planets are normally the smallest. And then there's another benefit, because if you at one point want to go in here and say, oh, I now have some extra products of something, or somebody asked me to produce, and now I actually want to produce P3s on everything on the right here. This advanced industry facility that you're building instead of the basic was the P1s, but the advanced is the P2s and the P3s. So I can just change the schematics here and change them into P3s.
Is there a way to do them like all at one time, or do you have to do each one individually?
You have to do each one individually. But once you're used to it, I mean, this is seconds. But the there's a reason why I think they make PI a bit tedious and a bit clicky, right? So this is the game, right? If they made too many quality of life upgrades to this, it would just be less time extensive and too easy to do for everybody, right? Which would mean that PI wouldn't have the same weight. They call it that often in computer games when they have tedious stuff. It gives items a certain weight, right? Like in Diablo, the fact that you have to click around and manage your inventory, make sure that you have a certain weight. If you have unlimited inventory, you could pick up everything, right? It would change the dynamic. It would change the way you would work with things. It would change what was accessible to people, right? So my thought is the clicky thing is what gives PI its some of its weight. Anyway, the barren planet and the temperate planets are also the only ones that can produce P4s. So if you want to do a change of this, take down some of the advanced industry and go into high-tech production with some of them, you could do it on the same planet. So 2 reasons why you always want to pick barren or temperate planets for your factory planet. Third reason is, where is my... Third reason is taxes. So once you get into the P2 and the P3, the stuff you are putting on a planet and taking off a planet will be worth a lot. So 1.5% is quite a lot of money. This planet in the north had 0. Those were the days. Anyways, this would mean you warp to the customs office, you open the customs office, and you drop off your stuff. This will then be dropped off into whichever of the launch pad you chose, and then you ask, why do I have 3 launch pads? Well, I have 3 launch pads. I would probably have done with 2, but since I can't build any more factories, I could build a launch pad. This is just a quality of life for me. Because I will come every 3rd day in with some oxygen and some electrolytes. And I will try to fill up these 2 storage facilities. And if I want to fill up these storage facilities, first I have to drop them off into a launch pad, because that goes from the customs office into the launch pad. So I would put I would put oxygen in the top one, and let's say, what was it? Electrolytes in the second one. And why do I split it up? Well, that's because once it's in here, I want to move it. I want to move this manually because I want to move a lot of stuff. I want to have this one filled. This one only has storage capacity of 10,000, and this one has storage that doesn't. Anyways, this can hold more than this can hold, right? So what I want to do is do a manual transfer of the stuff that's in. So I would open my storage. Doesn't have any content, but then I would click expedited transfer, and then I would double click here. Then the store with stuff I could move, I would have to drag and drop that from here over to here, and then execute the transfer. Once I have done that, I will now have a timer on when I can move stuff out of this launch pad again. Not into space, but around on this planet. So if I already moved some of the stuff here, I couldn't move the rest of the stuff here. So that's a good thing that I dropped it on this planet here, or on this launch pad here. And I would do the same here. And then hopefully my two batches would be full and they could run for a long time. And then the third launch pad is just so I can, all the stuff that's getting produced will be put into an empty launch pad. So I don't mix all my stuff together. I don't run into the possibility that I have filled up both my storage facilities, have stuff in my my launch pads because I can do this from afar. So sometimes I would fill this up and fill this up, so I wouldn't have to go to the system again for a while. I can just go and click and expedite the stuff, and the production would continue. And then all of a sudden, I wouldn't be able to deposit my my produced goods. So that's just why I have 3. You could do it with 2. Let me just put it like that. You could do it with 2. This cost so little money that I wouldn't be bothered about. Any questions? Okay, then I'm just going to show you last planet, and that's then where I do my my P3. So as you remember, we talked about earlier, if I wanted to have a whole planet just with P3, then I would have what, 5, 10. I would have 20 planets with P3, right? To keep 20 planets occupied with P3 would mean I would have to have what was it we said? Twice as many P2 planets for each of the commodities it takes. If you look at here, in my big setup with all the persons I had 4 P3s. And then I was running them in to these 8, 16 P2s. So 8 P2s here, 8 P2s here, and they will keep 4 P3 running all at one time. Yeah? Makes sense?
You've done a great job explaining all of it.
Either you are all so confused that you are petrified, or I have explained it to the best of my abilities. Or you know a bit about PI as well. Have I forgotten something?
No. Really good explanation. I've got a private question that I might ask you after. But yeah, no, you covered everything really, really well. PI, however little ISK it brings in, is possibly one of the more complicated, call it academic tasks. It's not the kind of thing that you can kind of just sort of, you do it and get the feel for it. It is numbers crunching, and yeah,
It is, but it's also, you can also just let it be organic, right? Because with what I have told you now, you cannot lose money. Well, you can, but then I'm going to slap you, because that means you're really, really doing stupid stuff. So to set up a planet like you saw my starter planet, my calculations on that is it's about what was it, 30 million to set it up. You have to buy the command center, and then you have to do all these upgrades things. I said I showed you before, right? So every time you put down a basic industry, for example, you can see that costs 75,000. Every time you link that to something, but all these buildings have a certain price, right? This has an initial price on the market when you buy it. It has a price when you put it down. It has a price when you upgrade it, and then you build all these things, right? So all in all, I say 30 million. It's not 30 million, but I will make sure my alt, once they're going in and has to start a planet, yes, 30 million, then he will also have some ISK on the account, because taking stuff on and off a planet would also cost a bit. And the cumulative, it's going to cost, right? At some point, if this was an extraction planet, I would have to move all this stuff, and then that would cost a bit of money. But let's just say, if you have maximized like a normal extraction planet, like the one I showed you on my main, you will easily get 15 to 20 million in nullsec out of that planet every day. So investing 30 million into a planet, you can see in 2 days you already made that money. That's what I'm saying. Why I'm saying it doesn't matter what you produce or how you produce it, you will make money. It's just a matter of how much you will make. Right? And as an example of, if people want to talk numbers, the setup I have here, where I was producing 2 types of P3s, one of them the most profitable P3 in the game for the last 6 months anyway. Instead of having 2 P2s, let's just say 2 P2s leading in to produce one P3. This one takes 3, right? And this was then worked on a scale where this was a complete production planet, this was a complete production planet, this was a complete production planet, and this P3 was only half a production planet, and then it produced one of these loops as well, because a whole planet with P3 then I would only be able to produce one thing. Anyways, just with this setup you see here, was about 200, between 200 and 300 million a day. So yeah, once you set your PI up and you set it up right, you are going to be making money. But as you can also see, this took 3 people just getting the P0s and the P1s, and then 1 character that was running the P3s. So this is at least 2 accounts run fairly efficiently to do it, and 24-hour maintenance.
Or if you open up another account to do more PI, can you do it as alpha on that account?
No.
Oh, no.
You can't
Can you
PI
do
on
any?
an alpha.
You can't? Okay.
But once you go Omega, I mean, 1 character, 1 account. Will you be able to?
I have Omega. My character's Omega. I was just wondering about alts.
Yeah. I'm just doing some calculations, because you would be able to have 3 with 3 account. How much would you? Let's say if you could make 100 million a day. Yeah, If you can just make 100 million a day, you can make 3 billion a month. And with 3 billion a month, you can just from PI flex that account.
Okay, gotcha.
Will I encourage people to do that? No. But if you do that, like to at least some degree, and you gas off, then you can flex easily. Will you have a fun experience? I wouldn't. So I keep it on a level where I can make money, and then I can use that money for something fun. So I can fly fun ships and get skill points and do stuff. But in theory, yes, you wouldn't have to pay for the game then. So
Connecting.
I think that's PI. In that case, I'm just going to stop the recording. Oh, any more questions?
Yeah, I have one more, if that's okay.
It's okay.
So you talked about the Galente hauler ship,
Mm-hmm.
and when you showed the fit, one key piece of that fit was the interdiction nullifier.
Yes.
Can you explain how to use that appropriately?
Yes. The interdiction nullifier makes sure that once you click it, you can get out of bubble, or if you click it before you warp, no bubbles will be able to stop you.
Okay, so if I come through a gate, somebody's bubbled up the other side,
Yeah. I have
I
done
can
this
click
several
that
times in
and
my
then warp.
episodes. Yeah.
Okay,
You
okay.
No. You align. You align. As soon as you align, you of course click your shields, and then you click your interdiction nullifier and warp. And this happens within half a second.
Okay, so you
while
need
you
to
are
be
sweating. Oh, and your
you need to be alive
and your
first. Okay.
and your warp core stabilizer, just to make sure, right?
Okay.
So, click, and hopefully you have shortcuts for all of these things. So in my case, it would be F1 2 3 4, and then click the boop boop, and we're off. So yeah, that's why you want to use it once you come through, and then of course you don't want to warp to the next gate, because if that's then bubbled, you will have a cooldown on your interdiction nullifier, and you're going to be fucked. So you want to warp off to somewhere and then just cloak, or even better, warp off to a friendly station, and that's why I suggest you keep your PI 2 hours soft, because then we will either have structures or passes you can. And it's so sad to lose a cargo full of your P3.
I have a question.
Yep.
Oh, sorry, my phone's going off. Can you set up with level 5 skills or even level 4 skills a single tune to produce the PI on the regular for fuel blocks?
No. Well, like one tune.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just. Good question. I don't know if I should kill the video for this, but let them have the fun as well. I do have.
So I saw a video on YouTube of a guy doing it.
Yeah, you can do it, but the amount you will get out in the end
So small.
is so small that with the amount of ice you're producing, it's not gonna make a dent in that. So let me
It'd be
just.
beneficial just to have a character, have multiple characters doing one specific thing and then have a production planet at the end.
So what you see here, down here, this is purely set up for
Fuel blocks.
for fuel. Yeah. So for fuel, this is to run the thing we saw before, right?
Yeah.
So with this setup, I could run almost 24/7 on all the P2s and the P3, and still have. I'm gonna have that here. No, produced. And still, no, I produced this on this character because you need oxygen as well. But you don't need a lot of oxygen, and oxygen is so easy to come by. So I don't really take that into consideration, but do know that you will need to produce oxygen, which means one character can have a max of 5 planets, right? So just to produce the P2s, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm not taking this into consideration, but there was oxygen. That's 5 planets. Now we want to produce the robotics as well.
I thought level 5 you can get a maximum of 6 planets.
You can get 6 planets. Okay, and then you can produce the robotics. The robotics you can produce. You're not gonna be using that much of the P2. That you can't have it on the same planet. You could do as I showed you before with both P2 and P3 on the same planet, right? Some of the factory planets you can consolidate, but you will need just to have this running 24/7. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 characters running.
Yeah, nice.
And that's to have 4 P3 P3s running 24/7. And let's say you have 4 P3s running, right? Then we go into robotics. We have robotics here, right? So every 60 minutes, you produce a total of 3 units P3, right? So you would produce every hour on one factory 3 robotics, right? 3 robotics every 24 hours on 4 planets. $288 a day runs on your fuel blocks.
Yeah, nice. See, that's roughly what I've been doing for my calculation. I've been using 300,
which will leave you with $1,520 fuel blocks. That's on my setup. If you can produce 300, to produce the 300, you saw the base metals. We had 1 decent planet for that. I don't know what it looks like with the noble metals, but I have let's see, the non-CS crystals. This planet is a 66% planet. In my setup here, those planets are in the 80s.
And for a daily amount, do you run all of your drills on 1 day 45 minutes, or?
I run all my drills for 24 hours.
Cool.
and then I reset them roughly the same time every day. But that's also why I showed you, because I know this is not, you can do this for a week. You can do this for 2 weeks. On week 3, you have something, right? You're not home. Family needs you. Something. It's not going to be done. So you do it at 2 hours later. And then if you haven't taken this into consideration, you have lost production, right? So what I have set up here, let's see, I have 8 planets. And in the beginning here, I can't pulling out. As you can see here, this is quite a nice planet, right? So I will pull out 1.1 million units of this, right? And this is not even placed proper.
Yeah, nice.
Like this, right? So this is a 1.2 million planet and 51,000. I know my factories won't be able to do that. But then I will have a surplus here, which means this surplus will just leave these factories running if I forget like 1 hour. I hopefully come back if I also know, like, okay, I set it up in the morning, but I also know I won't be able to go because I have to go into work early. Stuff is going to be there. I can't do it. Then I will do it. Then I will reset it in the evening, even though there's 12 hours left on it, right? I will go reset it, and then, okay, now at least it's running 24 hours before I have to take care of it again, and I won't be able to do a lot in those 24 hours. So, work on it like that, but make sure you have a bit of a surplus. And also, once all this is eaten and the planet hasn't regenerated because there's just too many people extracting from it and stuff like that, then I would have to move it, and then I can wait longer with moving it because I almost have a full storage hold. So I can actually just say, okay, I'm just going to leave this for a few days, not do anything. The factories are still going to be running, and then perhaps I will regenerate a bit within my area.
Nice.
And sometimes you will log on, and it's like you've been extracting. It's almost down. Like every so often you will go, oh, now everything looks like this. So you will go, yeah, where's the best? Yeah, now we still have some white, right? And we still pull over 1 million in. That's good. We still pull over 1 million. And you go lower and lower with this thing. And then all of a sudden it's down to where it's not really feasible anymore, but then you have a surplus, and then one day you log on and it's like, oh my god, I have a big white blob again. Excellent. And then you can extract that as well, because the planets do regenerate. If they are very full, and you can actually, I didn't mention that, you can go and show other characters and networks. This is a B2 space that once was, let me see.
You can look at Fortax C if you want. See if you can see mine.
Which planet do you know you're on?
Fortax C, hang on. Not Q4C, Fortax C. Lava.
That's only the one.
And I'm in the storm in there as well, I think.
All I will be able to see is your, yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely not mine.
And this is not.
Look at the state of it.
This is how you're not. Oh my god. Well, anyways, this way you can tell, and in the B2 space in XZH, in the old days there was a lava planet, and they were just There were like 40.
Maybe it wasn't the lava planet in that system I did. Check the storm. It's only just I can't believe that you can actually see this. I didn't realize this was a thing.
But it doesn't matter what people's stuff look like. What you can do is like you can right click and show other people's stuff, and then you can have a quick spin around, and if it's like dotted with people, you just know there's a lot of people. Should that discourage you from using it? No. You will still set you should still set it up. You will still be able to make money. Just know that the regeneration is not gonna be as fast if it's even gonna happen. And I have seen planets actually lose percentages in how much they have.
Fair enough. Well,
It takes a lot of people on the same planet mining the same stuff. Because I couldn't tell what that guy on that planet was mining with the lava. Right? And, as you can see, there's 5 different things it could be.
Yeah.
So.
Awesome.
I'm going to stop the recording. I think that's everything, PI. Oh, what is it I'm supposed to say? Leave a comment, have a discussion in the thing below. Subscribe, click the bell, and download Raid Shadow Legends. I think that's about it. Yeah, and NordVPN. Oh, let's not forget NordVPN.